Man, I love that. Producer G rocking us into the show. And it's been a rocking week. It's been a rocking week for news. It's been a rocking week. Well, let me see this. There's just so much video this week. We don't usually do this much video, but the week has just been insane. People are literally going crazy out there. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff this week. Lead off is something that really made me frustrated. Oh, in case you don't know, I'm Mark Meckler, president of Citizens for Self-Governance, Convention of States Project. And we're bringing you the BattleCry, and it's a battle out there. It's crazy. It's wild. Everybody's going crazy. People going crazy all over the place. People at high school football games going crazy. And by people at high school football games going crazy, in this case, I mean a police officer. Check out this video. It's going to blow your mind. Made me really angry. All right, so what you're seeing here, not moving yet, but what you're going to see here is a video of a football game in Ohio. This is the away side. This woman is now being arrested by this police officer for not wearing a mask. Now, I want you to notice there's nobody around her. She was sitting with her family alone, socially distanced, not wearing a mask. Look at this cop. He's all over because she's not wearing a mask. What country is this? She's saying, you're not arresting me. I'm not doing nothing wrong. Okay, now what's about to happen here, she's about to get tased, believe it or not, for not wearing a mask. Not yet. And she will not cooperate. By the way, cooperate with the police if they try to arrest you. Resisting arrest, never a good idea. He's reaching for his taser because he can't get control of her arms. He's going to tase her here. There he goes. Look, reach for the taser. There he goes.
I don't think he can arrest her for not wearing a mask.
And you can hear the crowd commenting, can't arrest her for not wearing a mask.
This is not a warning.
Nobody's saying anything. He's got her in a headlock.
Call the cops, Raven.
She's saying, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, will you talk to them? I don't know if he's a real officer. It says police on the side and on the
That's just people clapping. In a moment, you're actually going to hear her get tased.
But he may be.
There he goes.
I
I think he's reaching for it. She's just saying, no, you can't. There you go. He friggin' tased her. He tased her. And you can hear the crowd. He tased her over a mask. Unbelievable. And ultimately, now he's going to cuff her. He's going to lead her away. Producer G, you can kill the video there. I think I'm mad enough. I've seen enough of this. I've seen it before. Look, if you guys haven't watched this video, go watch the whole thing. What country do we live in? Where the hell is this? Yeah, it's Ohio, like the heartland of America, right? And she's socially distant. She's sitting apart from other families. It's insanity. And this cop decides he's got to arrest her, tase her to subdue her, and take her away. And ultimately cuffs her up and takes her away. And I got to say, the saddest part of the whole thing is she turns around as they're taking her away, looks at the other parents, said, basically, where are you guys? We've done this a dozen times together at other places, not wearing masks, just minding our own business. What's going on when the cops don't have judgment? Like, not enough judgment to say, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to use brute force and a taser on a person for not wearing a mask. My mom is a retired police officer. It was LAPD and then Nevada County Sheriff's Department up in Northern California. I showed her this video. She was horrified. She said that guy should be fired. You know, police actually have discretion in how they pursue quote unquote criminals, how they pursue crimes. They have discretion whether they do it, what to tell people, what they can do, a lot of discretion. This officer used absolutely no discretion. This is an outrage. And this is what this stuff is doing to us. These crazy ass mask mandates. So people are resisting them. We're seeing more and more people resist them. There's been huge protests in Spain, huge protests in France. People are resisting this stuff at this point. And this is what you're going to have. What you're going to have is confrontations between the police and law-abiding citizens. Citizens who otherwise, I guarantee this woman is a supporter of law enforcement. She was a supporter of law enforcement. Not anymore. Now she's not going to trust the cops. Now there's going to be distrust between her and the cops. So what we're doing is at a time when the cops are completely under assault by a certain segment of the American population, we're going to alienate the segment of the American population that is in full support of police. It's absolutely outrageous, and we shouldn't tolerate it. The one caveat I want to say, if you're going to do this, if you're going to commit civil disobedience, and I'm not against that, by the way, don't wear a mask if you don't want to. That's asinine that you got to wear a mask in a stadium when you're socially distanced. That's just asinine. But if you're going to do this and you get arrested, don't resist arrest. It's just never a good idea to resist arrest. And I don't care where you are. I don't care what you're doing. Don't resist arrest. Make a record of what's going on. I don't mind if you're talking back to the police like that. If you're telling them it's outrageous what they're doing, I think that's okay. But don't resist arrest. It never works out well. But again, what's our society coming to when that happens? I mean, it's just insane. That's a police officer way over the edge, way beyond the edge. And we, as Americans, shouldn't tolerate that. The department says they're investigating it now. I hope this guy's disciplined for what he did. It's outrageous. And he needs to understand that he needs to intelligently enforce the law, not indiscriminately, not aggressively enforce the law on this poor woman sitting by herself trying to watch her kid play football. You know, think of all the little kids that were sitting around her, the other parents sitting around her. What do they think of the police there in Ohio now? Well, we all know what they think of the police. Probably the same thing you and I think of the police there right now, and it ain't good. I'm just saying. All right, let's go on to the next video. The next video for me is representative of the radical left in America. And the radical left is insane. This is a woman driving in her car who has just heard that RGB has passed away. Go ahead, G.
Holy you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Could this year get any Ruth! You just had to make it to 2021!
Oh, she shouldn't be driving, first of all, ever, under any circumstances. We should show this to the DMV in whatever state she's in, and they should take her license away. But that is representative of the collective radical left in America today. And they've been doing this, by the way, ever since before Trump got elected. Remember all the screaming leftists? Did you see that little face over her mouth bleeping out the nasty words? Thank you, Producer G, for bleeping those out. Yeah, well, that face is of screaming woman from 2016, right? Screaming about Trump being elected, just screaming at the top of her lungs. Now, I've had kids. A lot of you guys have had kids. Sometimes kids, little tiny kids, throw temper tantrums, right? Lay on the ground, scream, kick, all that stuff. So my kids were never that bad. They were never that bad. This is a grown woman, an adult grown woman screaming like a little tiny child. Whose fault is this? In my opinion, it's the fault of our education systems. This is a result. That woman, what you saw there on that video, is a result of every person gets a trophy. Nobody ever gets criticized. We're all winners. We're not taught to deal with adversity. In other words, if things don't go the way you want, what do? You act like her. You scream, you yell, you go crazy, you lose your mind, you act like an imbecile. Here's the best part about that video, in my opinion. It's not the video. It's the fact that she thought it was a good idea to make that video and post it online, that she wasn't embarrassed or humiliated by making that video and posting it online. She actually thought that was a good thing. That's insane. Generally speaking, you're not going to find people on the right doing that. I mean, you know, I don't like to be partisan, but I'm just pointing it out. The left has been doing this for a long time, at least since before Trump got elected, during the Trump election, acting like that, just becoming completely, absolutely unhinged. And there is a lot of unhinged on the left right now, a lot of craziness, and not just craziness, but craziness leading to violence. You know, you've heard all the phrases of the mostly peaceful protests. We're going to show you a protest in California this week that took place. Producer G, why don't you roll the tape and I'll narrate a little bit of this for you. So I want you to see, so this is a person in a Prius, by the way, generally a leftist-owned car. And this Prius gets surrounded by protesters. I believe this is in Oakland. They're trying to grab the driver. This is Oakland, California. They're trying to pull the driver out of the car. That's a police helicopter with a spotlight on it. And look, this poor person just trying to go home. They're throwing bicycles. They're using baseball bats to hit the windows of the car. What would you do, right? So the Prius finally manages to get away, drives out of that mob, just friggin' crazy mob, just doing their best to save themselves, right? Save their own lives Lord knows what damage has been done to the car. Look, they were trying to pull them out of the car. Remember this. Okay. And so the Prius is now driving away. And what you're going to see here shortly, they don't show this. The protesters chase. They give chase. They pin them up. You can kill this. You can kill the video. The protesters then give chase, block the car, try to pull the driver out again. The driver gets away again. The police pull over the Prius and take the Prius driver out of the car and put him in custody, it looks like. This is the insanity of today. That's a mostly peaceful protest, right? According to left, mostly peaceful protest. This is what's going on in America today. This is the choice we're facing. There are people running for office in America today that support that kind of stuff. I mean, they've recently started saying, oh, we shouldn't have violence, but they've been fomenting this violence, not for weeks, not for months, but for years. Right? Let's not forget Maxine Waters. Get in their faces, scream at them, tell them they're not welcome here. Let's remember that they said, Nancy Pelosi said, I don't understand why there aren't uprisings in the streets all across the United States of America. They have been fomenting this stuff for a long time to come. And what's happening out of it? That's in California. Californians moving out in droves, leaving the state. I left the state. It's insane. It's not safe. Our friends over at Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan, all of them, their whole company, leaving California. It's a multi-million-dollar enterprise in the San Fernando Valley, a suburb of Los Angeles, leaving California for Nashville. Because why would they expose their families to that? Why would anybody voluntarily expose their families to that? I have friends, good friends, still in California. One of my best friends in the world, our executive vice president, runs our company, and really our chief operating officer, Mike. I'm telling him and his family, time to get out, buddy. You got to go. I'm worried about you. That's insanity. And that's taking place all over the country. And if it's going on in your jurisdiction, you should talk to your police. You should talk to your mayor. You should talk to your city council and tell them you're not going to tolerate this crap. But that is the kind of stuff that the left is up to today. It's screaming, it's rioting, it's violence, it's temper tantrums. It's absolute madness. And it's everywhere. It's all across the country, and it's all coming from the left. It's giving us a very stark choice. Even at places that are supposed to be sort of somber and reserved and appropriate, this week, RGB's body was lying in state at the Capitol. This is an incredible thing to have this done. And lying in state, I believe she's the first, certainly the first Jewish woman, I believe maybe the first woman to lie in state. President Trump and the First Lady visited to pay their respects. And I want you to listen to what happened. Listen to what the crowds did. So that's at the Supreme Court. I don't know what that sounds like to you. To me, it sounds like screaming banshees from hell. Tormented souls from hell screaming at the president and the First Lady. Right there on the steps of the United States Supreme Court. Should be somber, should be polite, should be respectful. Instead, literally, it sounds like a wailing from hell. Now they start chanting, vote him out, vote him. That's great. So he's there to pay his respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as he should. And this is how the left behaves. Unfreaking believable. This is the choice that you're facing in America today. You can kill that tape, G. I can only take so much of it. This is the left in America today. Violent, screaming, temper tantrums, inappropriate, lack of respect. I mean, just absolutely outrageous stuff. So this is what we're facing. You, me, all of our friends, all of our family. Is that what we want? Is that the America that we want? Do we want people being pulled out of their cars? Do we want riots in the streets? Do we want screaming temper tantrums? Are those the kinds of things that we're looking for in the United States of America on a go-forward basis? Yeah, I think I know the answer. I think you know the answer. Look, there's something you've got to do. You have to vote. And I'm pretty sure you're going to vote. I'm actually not worried at all that you're going to vote. If you're watching this, you're a voter. You're not a likely voter. You're not a sometimes voter. You are a voter. So let's make sure we all do that. I would also say here's something else that you can do. You need to make sure everybody around you votes. That's your responsibility. You personally, your responsibility to vote. And what I think you need to do is you need to participate in our Circle of 10 program. Convention of States is running a nonpartisan voter get out the vote program, GOTV program called Circle of 10. And you can go to Circle of 10, use the number 10, circleof10.vote, circleof10.vote. You can sign up, you're going to vote, and you're going to list 10 people that you're going to get to vote. And it becomes your solemn responsibility. Go to circleof10.vote and go there and list the 10 people you're going to get to vote, and then you're going to follow them. I don't mean like follow them around their house or follow them to work or something. I mean, you're going to keep up with them. You're going to say, are you registered to vote? Do you need help voting? You need to help them get registered if they need help registering. We're going to give you tips and tools on how to do that. And then you need to track them. Encourage them to vote early. Encourage them, if they can't get to the polls, to absentee vote, to request that absentee ballot. And I think most importantly, encourage them to get to the polls on voting day. So you're going to vote. You're going to go to Circle of 10 with the number 10, circleof10.vote, and you're going to encourage 10 of your friends to vote. This is incredibly important. All right, here's another big thing going on in the news. Of course, voting is coming up, but here is the biggest thing in the news this week. As you know, RGB, we just showed her lying in state at the Supreme Court, passed away. President Trump has announced his nominee to fill that vacancy. It's Amy Coney Barrett, ACB, the notorious ACB, which I just love that people are calling her ACB now. So she is the notorious ACB. She's been nominated to the United States Supreme Court by President Trump. And I've honestly never seen anything like this. This is as close to a checkmate move as anything I've ever seen in American politics. What are the Democrats going to do? I mean, what can they do that's effective? We know what they're going to do because we saw the video. They're going to scream. They're going to throw temper tantrums. They're going to get violent. They're going to protest. That's what they're going to do. We know they're going to do that stuff. But I think Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California, Democrat senator from California, said, realistically, look, we don't have the votes to stop them. So this is going to go through. The timing, I don't know exactly what the timing is. It looks like if McConnell rolls out the timing the way he said, it's going to roll right up until 5 or 6, 8 days before the election. It's going to be really close timing-wise, but it's kind of an inevitability at this point. I think they have the votes to get it done, and she is, in my opinion, from what I've seen, from what I know of her record, the perfect nominee. When I say she's the perfect nominee, let's talk a little bit about her judicial philosophy. She appears to be an originalist, a textualist in the mold of Antonin Scalia. We didn't get that out of Kavanaugh, and that's disappointing to me. Amy Coney Barrett was up for the seat, was up for nomination at that time as well. They chose Kavanaugh. I think Coney Barrett would have been a better choice. She is a textualist, originalist. She clerked for Scalia. She's on the 7th Circuit now. She has a very good record. We know what her record is. We've seen her record. She's really strong on gun rights. She's anti-administrative state. I think she's going to be a solid nominee. I think she's going to be fantastic. Now, the left is going to scream about abortion. You might not like what I'm about to say, but I don't think there are the votes on the Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. And by the way, just to be clear to our friends on the left who are worried about that, even if I'm wrong about that, which I'm not, I don't believe the votes are there, but even if I was wrong, it doesn't mean abortion becomes illegal. It's still going to be legal in California and New York and New Jersey and Illinois and a bunch of the left-leaning states in the United States of America. It just goes back to being an issue for the states. The Supreme Court should have never taken that issue. It wasn't for them to do, in my opinion, at the time. It was wrongly decided. It was crazy jurisprudence. And in my opinion, one of the most immoral decisions ever made in the history of the United States of America. And yeah, I admit it. I am proudly, strongly, extremely pro-life. I don't know if you know this, but we are one of only 3 nations in the Western world that allows abortion, where abortion is actually allowed after 20 weeks, after 5 months. It's unbelievable. Really is true. It's just us and Canada and Norway. And I think that's on our shoulders. Over 66 million human beings terminated because of Roe versus Wade since Roe versus Wade. Human beings terminated. It's unbelievable. The Holocaust, I'm Jewish, you guys know that. The Holocaust, 6 million, one of the most outrageous, offensive, unbelievable, horrible human rights abuses in human history. And we are now at 66 million and counting babies in the United States of America because of Roe versus Wade. So I don't think Amy Coney Barrett's going to overturn it, but even if it did, it would go back to the states. And unfortunately, there'd still be abortion around the country. Amy Coney Barrett also, she's a Catholic, as you know. I'm sure you've heard this. Hate this. Sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulty there. Amy Coney Barrett, as you know, is a Catholic, and now the assault on Catholicism and Catholics has begun. It's begun anew because it's been going on in this country for a while. I thought we got over it when Kennedy was elected president, but the left seems to now have a new anti-Catholic hatred and bigotry. Dianne Feinstein put it on display when Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed to her lower court seat, saying the dogma lives strongly within you. She's being attacked as being a member of a cult. She's not. She's just a Catholic. A lot of you and I know and love Catholics. I'm not Catholic, but I got a lot of Catholic brothers and sisters in Christ all across the country. The attacks on her as a Catholic are offensive and outrageous. Of course, Justice Ginsburg was Jewish and said her faith was very important to her. Sotomayor, I think she's Catholic, has said her faith is very important to her. They don't get attacked for it, but Amy Coney Barrett gets attacked for it. And it's just, again, outrageous stuff. It's not going to play well. Not going to play well. A lot of Catholics are Democrats. I think even the majority of Catholics in America are Democrats. They're not going to like seeing their faith attacked on TV every single night. They're not going to like seeing their faith attacked in these hearings. And you're seeing a schism on the left because a lot of people on the left are begging the left not to do this, not to take this anti-religious approach, not to take the anti-Catholic approach, but they can't seem to help themselves. Remember the baying, the screaming, the temper tantrums. That's the mentality on the radical left. They cannot help themselves. She's also a very appealing candidate or nominee in the sense that she's a mother of a large family, 7 kids, 2 of them adopted from Haiti, 1 special needs child, just a beautiful family. I mean, just a great family portrait. There's video of her getting in her minivan, just the classic soccer mom, right? But a power woman, an absolute power woman. Look, she's risen now to be nominated for the highest court in the land. This is something feminists should love, proving once and for all, really, a woman can have it all. A mother of a large family, a religious woman, a woman who has had a massive, amazing, impactful career, now nominated for the Supreme Court. The left should be celebrating this. Of course they're not. But it makes her a great nominee. She's also very attractive, very articulate. And the last thing is she's already been through a confirmation hearing and a contentious confirmation hearing. Just 3 years ago, 2017, at a very contentious nomination hearing. And honestly, if you watch the videos, she handled it flawlessly. I don't worry about her ability to handle it. I think McConnell has the process mastered. I think the president has, it's just a stroke of genius. Brilliant to do the nomination now and to get it done before the election. Make this the issue. Make the Dems misbehave. I say make the Dems. They're going to misbehave no matter what. I showed you the video. I showed you the kind of stuff they're doing. They're going to do that kind of stuff. But I think this just plays well for Trump in the election. If you look at the election polling, I think he's on the move. I actually think from the internal polling, I'm seeing 50-50, maybe better at this point. His approval rating is one of the highest it's been in a very long time and going up. The economy is getting better. Things are looking up for the country. We're not in a new war anywhere. I think the president's chances for re-election are looking better and better and better. All right, I'm going to go to the questions now. We got about 6 minutes left, and I like to end on time, so I don't keep you guys too long. Let's start with this. Jim Walker says, those in charge are telling police to stand down when rioters are burning buildings, but they're being required to tase people for not wearing a mask. That's my point, Jim. That's insanity. Let the buildings burn, right? Let property damage take place. Let private citizens get hurt in the process. But if somebody's not wearing a mask, you tase them. No, that's not going to work out well in this country. Nick Quattrocchiotti says, when has BLM been held accountable for their criminal behavior? By the way, I'm really proud of myself, Nick. I think I pronounced your name right. Quattro Chiocci. That's a cool name. BLM has not been held accountable for their criminal behavior. I think they should be sued. I think there are some cases now that have been filed against BLM, and I think they should be held responsible. When you continue to hold these protests and you know that riots are going to take place, which they clearly do, because there's a pattern of behavior here, then I think at this point you are potentially liable. So we'll see what happens with those. Let's see. We've got Vicky Berry saying, "Are those Great Danes? I love Great Danes." Yeah, let's see if you can see him. That's Gideon on the ground behind me, the guy that matches the couch pretty much exactly. He makes a perfect footstool. And that's Levi on the couch. And they are Great Danes. They're 7 and 5.5 years old, about 150 pounds apiece. And we love Great Danes too. That's number 4 and 5 for us on the Great Danes. Patty and I have had Great Danes since before we had kids. We just love them. Once you have Danes in the house, you know, it's hard to go back to anything else. Let's see. Pamela says, I have a question mark. Will the election be stolen via mail-in ballots? I've already seen ballots in several states being thrown away. What's your view? Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be stolen, but I will tell you, I'm fairly certain we're going to have problems with the mail-in ballots. We've seen over and over all across the country, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We just found 8 thrown away mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. Curiously, all for President Trump, military ballots thrown away. Look, mail-in ballots are just inherently problematic. Part of the reason is it's not even fraud, right? It's that you fill out your mail-in ballot, you're by yourself, you do it on your own, you might make mistakes. And lots of people make lots of mistakes doing the mail-in ballots. And then what do you do with those? Do they count? Do they not count? What counts? What doesn't count? It becomes very complex. It also does leave the whole system is open and rife for fraud, for ballot harvesting, for fraudulent ballots, for ballot manipulation. I don't know if you remember the Al Franken versus Norm Coleman senatorial election back in Minnesota. That election, by the way, I think stolen by Al Franken when he got chased out of office. Couldn't happen to a worse guy. I thought it was perfect. Norm Coleman had that election stolen when a sack of mail-in ballots were mysteriously found a couple of weeks after the election in a car, pretty much all of them for Norm Coleman. For Al Franken. Just curious, right? Seems like whenever there's an after count, it's always the Democrats who win. By the way, there was proven mail-in ballot fraud in North Carolina by a Republican. It's just rife with opportunity for fraud. So I think we're going to have a lot of problems with the mail-in ballots. Will the election be stolen? We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see who else we've got. Lilith Leonard asks the question, could we propose a change in the oath of office? And it says, I think she means with COS. That's producer G interpreting for me. Maybe. I'm not sure that limits the scope, power, and jurisdiction of the federal government. It might. And we could propose a different oath of office. I'm not sure exactly what you have in mind, so we'd have to look at that. Let's see. What else do we have here? We have Les Draper saying, has Black Lives Matter made Black lives better? That's that's Bernard Hahn asking that question. Bernard, no, it hasn't. Unequivocally. You can't give me one single solitary tiny example that Black Lives Matter has made Black lives better. Not anywhere. It's ruined Black communities. It's burned businesses in Black communities. It's done property damage. It's killed people in Black communities, mostly people of color. No, it's not made any Black lives better. And by the way, it never will. Let's see. Edgar Yoe says, will we ever get our freedom back from those who are forcing the masks? Only if we demand it back, Edgar. We're going to demand it back. We're going to have a fight about this. We're going to continue to push back. We at COS are pushing back. You need to push back. Les Draper asks, how is COS doing? It's doing excellent. I'm traveling all over the country. There's a lot of interest for going into 2021. I think we may get Michigan done in 2020. I'm looking at Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, movement all over the country right now. I'm super excited about what's going on out there. When's the last time the saddle was used? I could tell you that particular saddle. This is from Ralph Davis. I've never used that one. That one was a gift from a very, very close friend of mine. And he was an old roper. His name's Del Rapini, just a dear, dear friend. Won his last PRCA roper's buckle when he was 75 years old. That saddle for me is just an emblem of a great old cowboy and a friend. And I haven't had horses actually since I got that saddle. I hope someday to use it when I get horses again. Maybe when I'm not traveling so much. Maybe when I'm more like his age. Anyway, that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. Those are all the questions that have come in. And what I'd love to do is I want to close out, Producer G, if you've got it revved up. I'd love to do the Circle of 10 video, encouraging you guys to get out the vote. Can we do that, G? Hey everyone, Mark Meckler here for the Convention of States Project, and I want to talk to you a little bit about voting in 2020. Now, I'm not here just to encourage you to vote because I know you're going to vote. You're just like me. You and I are into it, and we're definitely going to cast our vote. Might surprise you to know that 56% of eligible voters didn't vote in 2016, and that puts us way down near the bottom of developed countries as far as voter participation. Well, at Convention of States, you know how we are. When we see a problem, we want to fix the problem. We don't just want to complain about it. So what we've done is we've started the Circle of 10 initiative to encourage you to find 10 of your friends who you might not know if they're going to vote. We want you to encourage them to get registered and to vote. First, sign up. Second, contact your circle members. Third, log your contacts. Fourth, follow up. Fifth, the final push. This is where the rubber really hits the road. Go to circleof10.vote and get signed up today. That's Circle of 10. Use the number 10. Circleof10.vote and get signed up today.